so
yeah. And so
be a lot easier.
I assume, yeah, everything would go up from there. So it'll just be a building process a little bit if you joined us.
Yeah, I mean, I already post like breaking point shit way
Yeah, I
more than I
know.
did the esports. So
Oh, we're live. I can see us. I can see us. Can they hear us yet, Emma? Okay, let's go. What's good, everyone? Hello, 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 hello. Wow, we're actually looking really good. Crone's not on the camera at all, but that's absolutely fine. You need to say
I'm here.
yeah. Oh no! Oh my god! I was messing with it, and now he's moved again.
Because we're on
My bad.
the
I was on my
If
lane.
you-
I was on my lane. I can't even see. Where do I see it? Do I
No,
go on
you're
Twitch?
good. If you go on the Twitch, you're good. It's just 'cause we're kind of thin, you know. So we gotta stay upright.
I got you.
What's good, everyone? Welcome to the stream. I'm guessing there's people here on YouTube as well. Oh, we've got the stream up as well. Oh, wow. It's absolutely beautiful. Omar's done a great job. He's pulled it all together last minute. Crone's joined us today. Out of the blue. Good morning. How's it going?
I'm good. I'm unemployed, so here I am.
Let's go.
It took this. But, you know. So we've got to make sure Crone obviously doesn't sound employed, but you know what I mean. So we can get more of these on the go.
I hope so.
Awesome. Anyway, we've got a lot to crack on with today. So once you've done the tweet, Omar, we'll do the reply chain and then we'll crack on, I think.
Yeah, Crone. So with our podcast, when we put out the tweet on Breaking Point, we always reply with memes, like in a thread. And today,
There is a tag the week. You can see it right
we've
there.
got a Beezy with the massive trophy. We've got Simp as like a midget, and then we've got Giant Crowder. And that's all for Austin Easy Mac O'Neill, because Mr. FaZe himself.
Mr. FaZe. I haven't even checked Twitter this morning, bro. I probably missed some things to post about.
It's all good, mate.
I mean, there's a little bit. There's a little bit, but it's
a weird.
Mediocre content from some of the league teams. That's per.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Read out.
Hope everyone's having a good day in the chat. Hope maybe some people watched the Conference League final or whatever. Just saw Mourinho catch the dub on Roma, so we'll take that. I saw Felipe talking about it, I think, earlier, so I'll at least mention it.
Yeah. Wait, Jose Mourinho's involved?
Yeah, Mourinho's he's captain of Roma.
Ah.
So, yeah, I think so, unless I'm tripping. Pretty sure he just... Yeah, Mourinho. Oh, did I say captain? He's definitely not captain.
He did.
He's still going, man. They brought him back.
Yeah. Did you see the F1 charity football match?
I did. I saw Carlos Sainz score like 2 goals. I didn't actually watch any of it though.
Bro, and the CEO, Stefano Domenicali, was in goal and got kicked in the face.
What, by who?
I think might have been Gasly or Kvyat. It was, I don't know. I think it was an AlphaTauri driver. Kicked him in the face. And broke his glasses. The president.
Pass.
Pretty funny.
They're getting rolled. All right, cool. Tweets out. We've done everything. Chat's ready to go. I think let's just execute, right? I mean, we've got.
Have you replied with your? Oh,
yeah, I hit the reply. I hit the quick reply. We get the reply in there.
I'll wait a minute and then
we move. Okay, yeah, that's fine. It's a good strategy. But in the meantime, we're gonna move. What episode number is this, Omar? 66. Yeah, definitely 66. Okay, yeah.
Who's gonna reply with short simp?
I mean,
Crone, do you want to reply with short simp to our thread? Because Austin's
what do I just type it or you?
It's in the chat. It's in the chat. It's a little bit further up.
One with simp and Maven. So I'm gonna reply, or you can reply first. I don't mind.
You see, or did I add you after? Yeah, you should be able to see it.
Is that a real picture? Is that a real picture?
No.
Have you also just put this in the chat real quick, just so you can see the podcast stuff?
If that was real,
that is a crazy stacky.
That would actually be, if I ever met Simp, that would literally what it would look like.
Bro, in person, he is so small. It's unbelievable.
That is outrageous.
What is he? I'm 6'6", so he's probably like, what, 5'7", 5'8"?
No, 5'3", bro.
We got some serious height on this podcast right now.
What is he? 5'3"?
He's like 6'8".
Bullshit. He's 5'3".
He's 5'3", bro. Dead set.
You're lying.
Yeah,
Nah,
for
you're
sure.
lying to me.
Nah,
Nah.
he actually is though. He actually is. I'm
is.
like 6'3", 6'4", but man.
I'm 6'2", Crone's 6'6", and then Austin, are you 6
Austin's-
foot?
No, I'm 5'10".
Ah, it's a treat for the boys. We treat.
Send
Austin,
him out.
get out of the podcast, baby.
Too
Who
small,
else we got
too
we
small.
can bring in?
Fuck's sake, man.
Octane, bring in Octane, 6 foot roll call. That'd be fun. All right, cool. We're gonna crack on. Episode 66. Crone said, just love to see it. Plenty to talk about. I'll do a 3, 2, 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Are we good? We are good. Sound. 3, 2, 1. All right, guys, time to go back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome to episode 66 of the Breaking Point podcast. As you guys can already tell, it's a rather special one. Crone, recently unemployed, is joining us today for one of the first times on camera. I didn't mean to do you like that, but, you know, it's onwards and upwards, baby. Absolutely. So we're back again. We've got the regular session in progress. And yeah, thanks to all those listening on live on Twitch right now and YouTube after the fact on all the podcast audio platforms. You've been killing it with the reviews as well and the kind of 5-star ratings the last week or so. And we've got plenty of COD to talk about because things are really ramping up ahead of Major 3. But Crone, first of all, how's it going? Welcome. Good morning. And you're looking great.
Thank you. I mean, I've had better weeks, obviously. I'm now unemployed. I'm a free agent on the market. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. See what I can do with the boys for today.
Let's go. Lion, I mean, the podcast is half New Zealanders now. What's going on?
Oh, mate, I'm loving it. We're taking over slowly. We're going to get Crone up in here soon. We'll get him in the Breaking Point team. I'm excited. Big week of COD. Well, fucking loving it, mate. We're going well. The socials are looking good, man. Everything's just on the rise. So nice.
Okay. Austin, I mean, you've been working with the team. Fix that hard point.
I'm hoping so, but we got another couple of days of practice, so we'll be ready for what we play Friday night. So yeah, it's been good for good first day or second day back. I forget it's Wednesday now. So yeah, we're looking better than what we showed on Sunday.
Love to see it. Let's crack on, baby. The first thing I want to talk about before we get into the matches is Modern Warfare 2. We got a kind of reveal, got a little bit of a hint. I mean, we don't get much, right? We get some artwork and we get some people saying that it's going to be innovative. The reveal date has been confirmed, or the release date has been confirmed, the 28th of October, which is marginally earlier than usual, about a couple of weeks earlier than we normally see, which can only be a good thing, I think, really, because it shortens the off-season and it makes it absolutely untenable that they can possibly not start the league in December, right? Because at that point, when the game's coming out in October, as did Black Ops 4, they started the league in December. Of course, that was pre-CDL, but hopefully that's the case. I don't know if you guys expect the movement or anything to be really any different. I know that Scumpus kind of said, look, he wants to play the beta and then decide whether he's going to play this year. But to me, it seems like he's still very keen to compete anyway, because he's tweeting out about, like, please be a good game. Like, he wants it to be good, so he still has the drive and passion to compete. So hopefully all can deliver. I know Omar's a big fan of it, our producer for the show, or at least Modern Warfare 1. Seek on Wednesdays, baby. So hopefully he delivers the goods. What are we thinking, Lion? Are we optimistic? Because I very much temper my optimism at this point, especially the way the last couple of years have gone.
I don't know, man. I think every year when we have words before it comes out, it's always people saying, oh, this is the year. This one's going to be good. And then it comes out and it's poor. I know a lot of people like the first Modern Warfare. Personally, it's the reason why I quit COD. So not very good. But I think regardless, I'm pretty excited because last time Modern Warfare brought in a lot of new fans. The introduction of the CDL was really exciting. So I think we'll have like better viewership next year just because of that like mainstream appeal. But I think, movement wise, I don't know, they'll probably play it safe and do what they did last time with Modern Warfare. I think when you mentioned Scump, I think, regardless, he's going to stay as well. I think there's no way he leaves. Hex would probably I can't say that, but he would be pissed. OPTIC would fall off a cliff. So I'm thinking, I'm excited regardless. What do you reckon, Crone?
I think Scump definitely tries to play again. I'm not that excited for the game, if I'm being honest with you. Last time we had a game from Infinity Ward, it was absolute trash for us. I know for the community at large, it was amazing, apparently. But for us, it was terrible, and the devs didn't care about us at all. I never played the original one. I didn't start playing Call of Duty till Black Ops 3, so I didn't play the original. So I don't have that that attachment to the series and to the name of the title. But I'm not getting my hopes up. I'll be honest with you guys. You know, I've got my hopes up for the past 3 years, and Cold War was the only one I enjoyed personally. I'm a Treyarch fanboy with it, but yeah, the other two have just been absolute buns. Like I want, if they give us some good maps and they give us ranked early, I'll be happy. That's pretty much all I want. Like good maps and give us ranked early, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, I think this game's actually going to be pretty decent because, like, all reports are that, you know, Treyarch's going to take over the ranked play for, like, the foreseeable future. So that means, like, ranked play is going to stay pretty stable and, like, the same. So, like, I'm really not worried about that anymore. The only thing I'm really worried about is, like, some of the, conflicting reports that are already coming out. Like, you have, like, Doug saying, like, it's not looking that good already. Honestly, there's another 5 months of dev time, so this is like the super alpha that anyone like right this current period. So there would still be a lot of time to like develop the game and change it a lot. I'm fully expecting a slower game. I think they're going to go more towards the older school CODs because like I feel like they're looking at the sales of the newer games and realizing that not everyone loves the cracked out slide cancel craziness. So I feel like that's what we're probably going to head towards. And I honestly don't think that's terrible. I think we're probably going to get, I don't know. I part of me thinks we're going to get like these slow dolphin divey, not sliding, like not tack sprint. I feel like that's what we're going to get a Call of Duty next time. Whether or not that's going to be good for the community, we'll have to wait and see.
I have one thing to say. You mentioned, Rab mentioned the starting the league early in December. Yesterday, Austin showed me something unbelievable. He came up with a restructure of the league and the format. If you want to touch on that at all, that'd be sick. But the way that he showed me how the league could be run was mind-blowing.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing an article about it that will be out soon. But like the basic gist of it is the league needs to start sooner. It needs to have more events. But at the same time, fans have to realize that the league does need league play. It needs viewership hours. So you have to find a good balance between the two. And I think if the game's coming out in October, then it gives the league a good chance to throw, you know, like old pro-am showdowns, like how the pro downs used to be. Because like fans used to not like the 2Ks, or like players definitely did not like the 2Ks. But fans liked it. So we need a good balance between that, tournaments, and actually having stuff for fans to watch and like get to. So that's like, it must start in December. It's got to be, you got to have more tournaments, and August has to be like the June has to be from June to August has to be a good like tournament sector. So yeah, look out for that. It's gonna be coming out soon. But yeah, I actually have a lot of good ideas for changes.
Sure does. Amazing.
I think we'll crack on the matches, baby. I'm looking forward to that article that Austin. I want to see because the CDL, they better be listening on these podcasts. I'm telling you, there's some serious wisdom being shared. But I want your wisdom on this, guys, because London got full sailed this week, and I don't know how. I don't like they played there. I mean, yeah, I just simply don't understand why there's so many full sails this year. I honestly thought when they went up 5-0 versus Boston this week, because I don't want to touch on really London or Boston in much detail because it's just kind of boring, these teams at the moment, kind of the downward slide they're having, and there's more interesting storylines. But this is the second full sail in like a few weeks, and we get like one a year usually, and one a year might sometimes be a push. Like we didn't have one in Cold War.
Yeah. Like one every 3
We
years.
had one in Modern Warfare, and we've had one by LA Thieves got done by New York, and now London have choked again to Boston. So it's quite incredible. I don't know if this game plays into it at all because it's really tough to say why, other than just like I feel like London. If there was any team in the league I'd predict to get full sailed, it would be London because I've just seen some questionable things from them in search so far this year. Like they honestly almost got full sailed before, I think. They've definitely thrown some leads and then like clutched up. Like I remember
Florida almost did it too, actually.
Yeah, Florida did it to Thieves, was it not?
They made it to around 11, and then you remember Awakening called in the streak with 10 seconds left, and you couldn't get to the bomb.
Yeah, exactly. Was that around 11 as well? Yeah, it was 5 versus 5. So there's been a couple of like almost. So like what do you think, Austin? Is it a Vanguard thing, or are we just like lucky this year, or are the teams just ultimate choke artists nowadays? I don't understand it.
I think it's not. Well, the game's always going to be a factor because there's. But I think honestly, right now there's a lot of the maps. There's not too many like complex strategies you can do. But like for the London one, an example, I was kind of like breaking it down because I wanted to see actually like what happened and what London did originally in the first 5 rounds. They kind of switched up. They started playing slower in the next like 3 or 4 rounds, and that got exploited by Boston. And then when London finally tried to regress and get faster, Boston kind of read that. So like it's very momentum based in this game. Teams are able to read that a little bit more, and like when you get forced into making obvious calls, that's when teams are taking advantage of that. And I don't know why it's happening so frequently right now compared to other games, because I feel like Cold War kind of had that same thing. But right now, it just seems like some teams are getting like put into a box when they start losing a couple rounds, and they start just getting either ultra aggressive or ultra passive, and there's like no in between. And the teams that are getting the high hands are just taking advantage of that. It's really weird.
What do you reckon, Crane?
Yeah, I think it's partly the game, but I think people are just losing full. They go up and then they just shit the bed. I don't know. We've all done it in ranked play, but I would say it is partly the game. Like it's just there's not much skill to it. I know I dislike this game a lot, so
it's weird. It's like the games and the maps.
Yeah, the maps too. I mean, well, we only have 5 maps this year. It's like the smallest map pool we've ever had, and
4,
2 of them are absolute dog shit. Yeah,
4 for S&D. So that's the thing with like bow cage. There is plays that you can do, but there's only so many options when the other team starts getting aggressive. And on Siege right now, there isn't that many variety of plays. You either have like a passive mid on offense, or you just get really aggressive towards B, try to play your post plant. But the B is actually one of the most retakeable sites. So the maps are just weird for how they play, and I don't know. Hopefully, we do see some more development and like stability on like the team strategy side.
Yeah, I was looking at the Black Ops 3 map pool when we were posting maps at the same time last week, and Black Ops 3 had like 7 S&D maps. Like that was crazy. Such a good map pool.
Yeah, AW as well. Didn't AW have like 10? It was like 10 S&D maps.
I'm for sure like 8 or something.
That's crazy.
I mean,
yeah.
Because it had all the other new ones that got added in, like the Drift map. Was it called Drift or whatever? They played that for Search. Like there was a couple
Parliament
of new...
too. I don't know if that was Search though.
Yeah, they played the Uplink, but there was a lot of maps that came with the game. I mean, you're talking Solar, Biolab, Detroit. I mean, even Recovery. Like these are all just bangers. Riot, of course, I can't forget. Great Search.
Do you think they were good maps, or the pros just weren't as picky back then, or didn't have as much power to say, "Nah, this map sucks"? Or was it the game was just so viable?
Point. Because I think that people have said that in this game, there's more maps that could be viable, but the pros like don't want to do it. But I think the map design definitely... Okay, fair enough. The map design definitely has a part to play.
Yeah. There was a lot of maps tested. There was a lot of maps tested, and there was not... Like,
which other ones could we even use? Like Hotel Royale? Like
Oasis?
Eagle's Nest should be viable. But apparently
I like that map.
Which makes me sad.
I like the map but yeah.
Like,
I don't know. The game is in a situation where it's so mixy that a full sale is common. And I think we've gotten to that point. It's the game. It's dog.
The thing is, if it was 50-50, then surely it's less I don't understand. Whatever. We can crack on. Because we've got a lot to cover here. I want to talk Minnesota. I'll throw this to you first, Crane, because... they've made a bit of a revival, it must be said, of course, like since the change that they've made. They were 2-0 this week in terms of series count. They took down LAG, they took down Florida. The LAG series, I mean, they dominated them. And then maybe they didn't even play them this week. I don't know, I might be tripping, but because I thought they played them last week. But whatever the case is, they're 4-0. They're 12-3 map count. They haven't played great teams, it's got to be said. Like they haven't played any real top dogs yet, but the fact that they're winning their respawns they're winning game 1s, which is impressive. And they're always going to be a scary game 5 team. The thing I'm most impressed at, I think, is the fact that Priester individually, the whole community's been bagging on Priester for ages now. And I think understandably, right? But all of a sudden, Havoc comes in and they played their last few series, and Priest has probably been their best or their second best performing player, which is what we needed to see from him. I do wonder if other teams are looking at that, right? Because obviously there's been a big talking point about LA Thieves, and we'll get onto them, but saying like, look, maybe, you know, a one-man change could reinvigorate someone's poor performance. And, you know, I just wonder if this is the stage now, because they're top of the rankings and they're obviously guaranteed a winner spot, where Attach picks up his slice of the pie again. What do you think, Crone?
I mean, they're looking good. I think Priest is main AR now, right? I think he's been switching through so many roles, and I'm hoping that he's finally, you know, found his feet and he can continue to be great at their role. But who do they play this week? They play FaZe. No, they don't.
Play us.
Yeah, they play FaZe.
They played Toronto and that was last week. They just play FaZe. So it's get
yeah,
harder.
play us.
Yeah, I mean, this game is so mixy when it comes to like results. Like, it's so hard to really know who's good. You know, I feel like it's just the two teams at the top, and then it's the middle of the pack, and then it's like Paris Legion at the bottom. But yeah, I don't. They look good. You can't take anything away from them. They've played. Who have they played? Gorillas. They played Thieves. I mean, they beat Toronto Ultra 2, are a good team.
Yeah, and Florida, like, that's a decent win over Florida. I think.
That is. Florida's very hit and miss, but they're still a good team at the end of the day. The other two wins, I wouldn't look too much into there. Like, Thieves are just falling apart, and Gorillas, I don't have any trust in them at the moment.
If they compete with FaZe, like, you know.
if they can take FaZe to maybe a map 5, then I'll be okay. Now I'm watching. You guys are good. And Havoc is just incredible. He's amazing. I don't know why he's sat in challenges for that long. A lot of people thought he was hacking and all these types of things, but you know, he still turns up. And I remember I posted that crazy stat on map 1 and map 2. He was like 0.6 or something. In the last 3 maps, he was like, what, like a 1.5 or something like that? It was crazy.
Yeah. If we look at Priest's stats for the whole year, before stage 3 qualifiers, he had a 0.9 in every mode. And then we go to stage 3 qualifiers, switches roles, got a 1.13 in hardpoint, a 1.36 in SND, and then a 1.03 in control. And so he's definitely way more comfortable in that role. And I feel like when we have seen Priester in the past, he's the most comfortable when he's like the most impactful player on his team, slaying heavy, causing a lot of damage. We always bring it up, but BO4 Priester might be one of the best forms of a player in a single title we've seen. Like, the impact he made on that 100 Thieves roster, you know, it's priceless. He changed that entire dynamic. And so I think when he's that player, he's unbelievable. And it's just really nice to see him finally get his due and playing at the level that we know he can play. And do you think it's possibly because Havoc's just providing something for this team, like a pacing that can, you know, suit his style more? Because we know that bringing Havoc in had like increased the pace a lot. Standy's having a tough stage, but I think having Priester as that impact player is actually like really good for the dynamic of this roster.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with Havoc and the pacing. Like, Preston's always going to be a player that thrives when the situation around him is the most stable, and that's pretty much what they have right now. Like, he knows his role, he knows what he has to do. He's not trying to overcompensate, which I think is what he was really trying to do in his former rosters, because he knew he had to be the one to make big plays. You know what I mean? Like, he had to be the one, to him or Standy, because at the time, like, they just weren't getting too much out of, you know, everybody. So I actually think he's playing phenomenal. I think I think he's better as an SMG, which, I mean, I'll still stick by that. I think he's a very good, like, SMG player. But I understand, like, also the main AR, he's just so good at so many different weapons. He's always been like that too. And that's just, he's like just kind of finding his way right now, and he's doing a great job. So I hope it continues, because Minnesota, like, they always have like 1 or 2 stages where they just absolutely do amazing, and like hopefully that is like this stage for them. Who knows though?
Yeah,
I mean, go online.
Sorry, we've seen so many teams perform really well in qualifiers, get to the major, and then get bopped out. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen. The transition from online to LAN is very strange sometimes, and it seems like on this game it's been a bigger difference than other games.
Yeah, a lot of people question whether Havoc's a quote-unquote online player too.
Well, he hasn't won a LAN event before. He's won
Yeah.
3 fake MW chips, and that's it.
I will say this though, like he's not killing it just by outslaying everyone, just having better gun skill. He's doing it by making smart plays in the map, and I think that's really like valuable. That's pretty much where I think they're getting the most value out of him is he's making really smart plays in the map. He's opening up lanes for other teammates. He's doing a great job on pacing. Even though Standy isn't killing it right now with him, I think the other two have just like awoken and had like the best stages they've had in a while. So I think he's just doing a terrific job for his teammates, like opening up the map. So I don't think it will like decrease when it goes to LAN. Like that's basically what all that was for.
I agree. I think there's still always a little bit to prove though, just because obviously they have the dominant Challenges team online. They went to the Pro and didn't even make it top 4. So there's always that little question there. One team that maybe is better on LAN than they are online, even though I think that is a little bit questionable in the current state of the team, is Los Angeles Guerrillas. They escape this week 1-1 after losing to Florida and then scraping past Paris in a game 5, which if you're having to go game 5 with Paris is never a good sign. They bring in Gunless. They didn't look much better, to be honest. I feel like they would have had a very similar result with Spartan Gunless this week. Maybe I still feel like that probably is a good idea for the team. The thing that confuses me is that Asim individually, I had him when you reached out, CRONE, to do that top 10 MVP players. I think Asim there was maybe once or twice I had him at like 9th or 10th or something in the ballpark of like even though the fact that LAG weren't winning at the time, like in terms of MVP rankings, like how important these players were, Asim was right up there. And he was great at the major, obviously, that they won. And since then, he's really come off the boil. It reminds me a little bit of last year. I know that people have said this about Asim, right? Because he gets a lot of credit as being kind of an underrated player. And I think at times maybe he has been. But I also think that there's a little bit of a tendency in his career where he'll have like a great event or a great run of form. And everyone will gas him up for the rest of the year. And then after that, he can go off the boil a bit, right? And I think we saw it last year after the visa thing happened. And yeah, look, I don't know. He's been struggling lately. Still, they beat Paris. That's 10 points. And that puts them on 125. And 125, honestly, probably is good. Might well be good enough to get them to champs because it's going to be tough for like 4 teams to get above that. So probably they're set for champs anyway. But it's like, look, what change do you make, CRONE, to actually make this team better? Like, do you just hope for another miracle and stick it out? Because as I say, they've got a bit of comfort in terms of not having to worry about champs. So theoretically, they could try things. But I don't really know what you try. I mean, people are talking about Scrappy and, ProLoot. Maybe he gets on the market at some point. But I'm not really sure what you even change. This team basically won an event with this core. So maybe that was just the biggest miracle run of all time. Maybe it's eclipsing EG World War II champs. I don't know.
I honestly, I'm just pretty much what you said. I don't know what you do. They won a major with Spot. Shout out to the Volk. I mean, the stars just aligned for them that weekend. So it's like, I don't know where you would even go. I feel like the talent and challenges right now isn't the best, but there's still a lot of great players. But I mean, I think you have to give Gunless a little bit more time to get back in the groove, and then if nothing comes from that, after Major 3, I think you have to look at a roster change. But I don't know who. Like I feel like none of them are super bad. None of them are like outstanding at the moment though. They all have their moments where they're like great. So it's like who do you bench? What's the issue? And I think that would be something that the coaches have to look at. If it's pacing or if it's someone's not playing the right positions or things like that. But that's a really hard question because I don't know who would you drop there. Like who's the odd man out there?
I have a weird one. I mean, Kyler, Ook. Sometimes I feel like look, like Asim's definitely in a slump right now. I don't think you get rid of him because he's usually like your dirty work player. Slasher has been a little bit inconsistent this year, but I feel like his highs and like what he can bring to the team is good enough. But like that could be an option too. Pierce, he looked a little bit off. I feel like I don't know for how long he's been playing since his injury or like how long this team's been scrimming together, honestly. But maybe they just need more time as a unit. But I don't know. Like any one of them, I guess you could make an argument for, which is the hard part. But I don't know. I feel like a tough part is I don't know who the next SMG like coming up is, and I like right now you have two ARs that are coming up in Pro Loot and Scrappy, but both of them are now signed to contracts. So you really don't have too many like clear cut options like what we had last year and the year before that, which is making this really difficult for like roster changes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like the challenges isn't like as big as it usually is. Now, there's a lot of people in Europe. Shout out to Europe. I feel like they don't get enough love, but there's a lot of talent out there. But franchises are not looking over there. In the ENA region, there's no one that really stands out aside from the two you just mentioned, and that's it. But there are some great players though. Like Pearly wasn't a standout player. Look at him now; he's amazing. There's a lot of other players like that too.
Yeah. Firstly, I think with LAG, they have huge stock right now to get players because they have that champ spot, and so I think that is where players will want to go if they get the chance. And also, I think it's possible that the talent and challenges isn't as prevalent for. Whoa, I'm losing my voice. Isn't as prevalent for SMG players right now because of the mismatch between statistics for SMGs and ARs. And so ARs are standing out because in this game, if you're a good AR, you should have a 1.15. And then an SMG, if you're a good SMG, it's like a minimum 0.95 to a 1. And so those players aren't standing out. ARs are looking like these fucking like Michael Jordans. SMGs are looking like these guys who do dirty work and like, you know, no one's really catching the attention. And so I feel like to have a good roster in this game, it's kind of like you just need the four pieces to come together and not really worry about the stats. And then, you know, but with LAG, the problem with them is that all of them fired at the exact same time. And then since then, nothing else has come together. And so I don't know what that is. I think it's probably the Volk. But I don't know. I actually.
Who do you think is their best player for the entire season?
The entire season, Asim.
Yeah,
it's marginal honestly, at this point, though.
I think Gullus is up there too. Like, I feel like he's been pretty consistent.
Yeah, he has, but he missed their peak. He didn't win a championship.
True.
I will say it's very close.
Yeah. I mean, they're all kind of playing bad, so it's kind of hard to pick. I think he's been the most consistent, but he wasn't there when they needed him, and then they won. But Steve made a really good point. He's one of our partners or owners at Breaking Point. He said that they got 65 points at the Major 2 LAN, and every other match they've played, they've got 60.
That's insane. If you look back at their tournaments, they got 12 first, and 16.
12 again. We'll see. That's crazy though, but it's good in a way because we said last year, like that. It was stupid, or we thought it was kind of stupid that, like, let's say you're a Paris Legion going into Major 5 and your champ's chance is chalked. It would be cool to have a way where, like, if you win an event, like, you automatically qualify or something. And the way the point system works, it's kind of like that, right? Where, like, LAG can literally get 12th and suck in every other event, but win one and you've got enough points to get through pretty much, which is good. I think it's good, really.
They also had that massive losers run, which gave them even more points.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
It doesn't work like that, though.
It doesn't work like that.
You just get points for placings.
You just get points for placing.
Right, though. Because like, you get 10 points per win, effectively, but you only get it in terms of placing points.
That's why if LAG lost every single match they've played this year, but won that major still, they would be at 65 points, and they would actually still be in contention for the 8 seed. So, like, if you win an event, you have a very good chance of making it in. It's way harder if you're a roller coaster who has like a top 4 and then a fucking 8 and then a top 12 and then like a second. Like, if you're consistent throughout the year, you'll have a better chance of, like, I don't know, like making it the champs. So that's just like the trade-off for that.
Perfect team to discuss next is New York then on that train, because they, in my opinion, are at worst a top 4 team in the game right now. I think that I might even, it's tough. They lost to Toronto, but okay, their search and destroy needs work, but I think they're there or thereabouts. Top 3, top 4. They won the Pro-Am. They're still looking really good in their respawns. Their respawn is like practically dominant right now against most teams they play. I mean, they smoked Paris off the face of the earth the first series of the week, and then they played a Toronto with Scrappy. And if it wasn't for Scrappy taking over that Berlin hardpoint, then New York again probably win this series 3-1 like they've done before. So I do like their respawns. the search and destroy was the big question mark to me, because we never needed to see them clutch up in a search at the Pro-Am. They won a few round 11s in game 2, but they never went game 5 at the Pro-Am. They won every series 3-0, 3-1, which is incredibly impressive, but it's very rare, I think, that you win an event without having to win a game 5. Like, you need that kind of game 5 ice. They got to test it against Toronto, and they came up short. They're up 3-0. They choked it 6 rounds in a row. So that definitely raises some concerns for them, especially because that was a massive win for Toronto. That puts them, if New York could have won that, both teams would have been on 70, and it's all to play for. It still is all to play for, but Toronto now being on 80 points and New York on 60 still in the 11th spot in the league means that realistically they need to outplace their competitors at the major quite substantially, right? They need like a top 4, top 3. I mean, like, or they just win the thing, right? Like, they need a couple of great majors in a row. They also need a winners bracket seed. I think they will get the winners bracket seed because of the map count they have.
Not this one.
It's not guaranteed. They're 2-2 right now.
Oh yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. You're right.
They're 2-2. They play OPTIC, and I think they probably have a good enough map count to do it, unless they get smoked. So it's not guaranteed they make winners, but I think they have a good chance to make winners. And if they do, they're like a team that you can not predict to get knocked down easily. But I don't know. What do you think about New York, right? Like, are they going to make champs? Like, I'm getting a bit nervous. I want them to, and I think they will. But I think they're going to have to work very hard for it. But if they are a top 4 team in the game, as I think they might be, and they can stay that way, they will just pick up the points. They've just played really hard teams, I think, this stage, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, if they win out, they get 165 points, like, from here on out. The problem is I don't see that, or actually they get 175 because they have one more match. But I don't see them winning both events. You will, because they lost to Toronto. If they don't start in the winners, like, that's nail in the coffin, I think. You have to win at least one tournament to make it, I think, at this point. So that was a really tough loss to Toronto, especially because Toronto is who you're chasing right now. And especially because Seattle, Florida, and what's the other team ahead of them? So they have Seattle, Florida, and
even are in consideration.
Yeah. So they got a lot of teams that are doing at least decent above them, and then they just lost to a team that's above them. So if they don't have at the very least a Sunday appearance at this next major, it's looking very, very slim.
Yeah, they that's a 20-point swing as well, losing to them, that's crazy. I think this stage so far, all of them are looking really good. It's just, what is up with Porter right now? He is having the toughest stage that we've seen from him, possibly in his career.
He dropped like a 0.7 or something.
Ryan.
Sorry?
What are the numbers? Let's go. Run it.
0.88. So that's a main AR. Oh, it's an AR. Is he main?
Yeah, he's main.
Yeah, I mean, there is no mains. He's an AR.
He's an AR. He's dropping a 0.88 overall, a 0.94 in hard points. So that's not too bad. But as an AR, 0.88 in SND, and then a 0.76 with, oh my goodness, this is good. He's got a 0.76 in control, and he's 7 or 6 kills less per 10 minutes than anyone else on his team.
Jesus.
Which is insane. And 500 damage per 10 minutes less than his team. Like, yeah, I don't really know what's going on there. Maybe the others are just flourishing so much because they're all above a 1 KD. Like, Hydra's got a 1.1 as an SMG. He is frying. And then Krim is just, I guess he's just chilling and then getting killed a lot.
If they're winning, it's okay, but like, I don't know.
But how long can you win like that for? You can't win like that forever.
Yeah. Well, for sure. I kind of give it a little bit of benefit of the doubt just because the teams they played are good, but like, it doesn't get any easier. They play OPTIC. And it's kind of also the CRONE way in building his teams to get outslayed and still win, and they've done a good job of that. Like, their respawn record is actually pretty impeccable. They're like 15-4 or something since they made the change in respawns.
Do you reckon that's actually the CRONE way? Because both of his dynasties, that was the opposite way. They were the
Connor's changed a bit, I think.
And then OPTIC was the most outslaying team in like the history of outslaying because of Scump and Formal's peak. But then obviously, I guess Modern Warfare was different. He's become a more methodical player. But bro, come on, mate. We expect so much from Krim, and then he's having Meh. Last year he was number 1 in First Bloods. He had something like, what was it, like 90 and 30, like something ridiculous in First Bloods. And then this year it's been one of his weakest points. And so there's not even like that saving grace in SND to, get him out of that. But anyway, I think the rest of the team's looking good. We just need Porter to pick it up a bit.
I don't. Any thoughts?
Yeah. No, you can go, Crone.
Honestly, I think they make it. I think they do some incredible run. I don't think they win. I don't think they win this major. I think they come top 4. And like you said, I think the 3rd to 4th best team in the game right now with ROKKR being the other one. Maybe, I mean, you can even make an argument for Toronto. But one thing that is incredible about this team is they turned it around so quickly just by picking up Kismet. And Kismet's not like a crazy slayer. He's not doing anything insane, but he's just making the right plays. He's making the right decisions. He's doing the dirty work, and I think that's exactly what they needed, and that's what they wanted Neptune to do. But Neptune wanted to be like a Hydra type player. He wanted to go out there and slay. Yeah, he didn't want to do that, and I think Kismet was perfect for them, like absolutely perfect pickup for them. But I do think they make champs, so I'm gonna say that they make champs and I think it's gonna be one of those moments where everyone's tuned in and they're like, they have to win this match. It has to be. They have to do it this way, and it's going to happen, and it's going to be incredible. And I think they make it.
It'll be Majors 4, losers bracket run. New York need to get like top 4, top 3 to make champs. They need to beat like Thieves or something, and if Thieves don't win, they don't qualify or something mad. I
think that's something like that's going to happen.
It's very weird because like if they don't win one of these majors, their fate's not in their hands. Their fate relies on another team above them doing worse.
That's crazy, actually.
Yeah.
But I guess that's why the team just sucked so bad and they made this royalty change. They should have figured out what they needed earlier. That's all I'm saying. They wasted too much time being bad when it was obvious royalty wasn't going to work. Okay, whatever. Let's do Toronto, because as you said, Crane, they were like arguably top 4 now in the same category as New York. I mean, I'm really confused actually because they played Minnesota, lost game 5. Toronto usually good game 5 team, but so Minnesota. So that was like that series. It was, if I had to bet the one series on the week went game 5, that would have been it. Like that's written all over it. It happens. And then they play New York and also go game 5. But this time they win. The New York series, I think, is more worthy of note just because Scrappy comes in for Insight. Insight has the food poisoning. He steps out of the team. And this change was really interesting because Scrappy fried this series. He had like a 1.2 game 4 Berlin. I think game 4 Berlin, he started out like he was dead even or something, like 11 in 10. And then he finished the game 38 in 25 or something crazy like that. Like he just took over the second rotation. And basically just won them the game. I think game 5, he was dropping numbers. He was playing the Elite this weekend and he reverse swept Neptune's team, dropping 15 game 5. Like this guy's good. And we've known it.
I love Scrappy. He's incredible.
And he's fun to watch. He's got a personality on him, which we rate that because, and I say it every time.
So good. He looks
like so good. He looks so good. I like, this guy's just got it all going on, So anyway, I just wonder, like, this Toronto team looked scary with Scrappy. And I think that Insight is the better S&D player, is an absolute force in the clutch in S&D, but I do wonder whether kind of their respawn with a bit more pace and aggression and kind of power, I guess, behind it. Because I think Insight's style as an AR worked phenomenally well in respawns in Cold War, but in this game, having a guy like Scrappy might actually be to your benefit, right? So it's interesting, right? I wonder if we'll see Scrappy on either this team or, I'd like to see him on another team, but just the way that he signed the contract now, or they might keep him, raises questions. So, yeah, what do you think, Crone? Is Scrappy just going to be relegated to the bench for the rest of the year? Because I feel like that would be kind of sad. I don't know.
Honestly, I'm not sold on this Toronto team yet. I think he starts before the end of the year. If it's not Toronto, then another team buys him out. I don't think Toronto will let him go though. Like that's an incredible player to just let walk when your team's kind of like sometimes we're good, sometimes we're shit. But I think they should start if they go through Major 3 and they don't do well. They place 5th, 6th, 7th or whatever. I think they should give him a try. There's no reason why they shouldn't. absolutely no reason because he's an incredible player. I think he's a game changer for them. I think Cammy has struggled. I mean, they've all had their moments of struggling aside from Kleenex and probably Vance. But I think you have to give him a go. You have to. If your team doesn't do well at Major 3, you have to give him a go. Because he was incredible that game he played. And if you watch the elites, he's just the same in all those as well.
And the LAN as well, Pro-Am.
Yeah,
insane.
yeah, exactly.
Do you want me to go, Austin? I'll go real quickly.
Yeah.
I just want to touch on just Bance a little bit. He has been struggling a lot in SND in this stage. He's got a 0.5. It's pretty wild. But yeah, Scrappy in the one match he played, he had 28.6 kills per 10 minutes, which is wild. He's got a 2.25 in SND from that one match. So I mean, if he was going to go somewhere else, he probably can't because he's got his contract before the Pro-Am he signed with Toronto. So he's just going to be chilling on the bench or on the starting spot. So that's really unfortunate because I'd love to see him in the league regardless because he's the number one talent to come out of this. Or do you reckon he's the number one like amateur player through the mid-season to come out of this season?
Yeah, easily.
This year.
Yeah.
I mean, unless Pro League keeps doing what he's doing, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Pro League's got the results to back it up so far more than Scrappy has. So, I don't know. I like looking at results.
And he's on a better team.
True. There's always factors, but,
Yeah.
I want to see Major 3.
What do you reckon, Austin?
So I actually think he's playing better in Vanguard than Cammy and Insight are right now. If we're being real.
Yeah, I agree.
So I mean, I think he has a good chance to make it into this team. I mean, hopefully he gets some sort of shot. I don't know if he will, but like that would be kind of cool. But I think this Toronto team has like struggled. I think like I would not call them like a top team yet. I would not put them up with like, I feel like Minnesota has done a lot. I feel like New York's done a lot. I wouldn't put them past either of those teams yet. So like top 5 max, probably worse because I still rate Florida high, even though Florida's kind of struggling. There's a lot of like the midfield right now it's actually pretty crazy. The midfield is literally from 3 to like 9. It's like pretty stacked, like in terms of like the power ranking. So it'll just be interesting how the next couple weeks go because, I mean, quite honestly, we've been talking about how Toronto's been struggling, how their ARs have been struggling. Bance has had like bad moments in S&D. Kleenex hasn't even looked that solid either. So it's like you have struggling all over the place, but then all of a sudden you bring in Scrappy and they actually look a lot better. So it'll just be interesting how they make roster decisions if they don't do well at stage 3. Because they're on the cusp too. They might not make chance if they have, bad stages again too.
Yeah, their poor start is hurting them, just like New York. Really, like they're in that ballpark of one of the better teams of the midfield, but they don't have the points to back it up, right? So that's a concern for them. So another team that's massively in the concern pit right now is Los Angeles Thieves. Their record outside of their Pro-Am run, if you look at their record, it's absolutely embarrassing, to be honest. Like, if you ignore the Pro-Am, which maybe you shouldn't do, but the teams they beat at the Pro-Am, like, okay, they came top 2, but they didn't beat the most impressive teams in that they got 3'd by New York in their group. They beat a London team that was pretty dysfunctional. They beat Team War. They entered the bracket to beat Boston that's on a downhill. They take out OPTIC with a sub, but it's not the sub they wanted. But, Thieves always seem to match up well against OPTIC regardless. And then they lost to New York. So it was an impressive tournament for them with the new roles, but it wasn't outrageous. It wasn't like, wow, Thieves are back. And we've seen that, really. They 3-0'd London again. And then the last 2 series, they've got back-to-back 3-0s. The most recent one by Seattle. So they've now lost 6 maps in a row. They were talking about the servers and the whole, as soon as teams start talking about the servers, it's chalked because all the pros seem to say nowadays that the servers are way better than they have been. And the CDL came back to Envoy and said, look, we've got this minimum latency tool which can artificially add ping to Seattle, even though they were playing on a Dallas server and Seattle's team are based in Texas. They can say, look, that Dallas server is the lower ping for both teams than playing on the Denver server. So let's play on that server with the lowest ping of 40 on average, and then we can bump up artificially the ping of Seattle from 15 up to 40 to make it a fair matchup. Now, some would say, look, does that really work? Like, Envoy's like, look, we really shouldn't be playing a Texas team on a Dallas server, which maybe is fair enough, but it doesn't excuse a 3-0. It doesn't excuse Octane jumping jumping off Desert Siege, doing a 360 in midair with the pistol. Like, the team is just still not good. So what do you do, right? Like, this is the big talking point. Enable said on the reverse sweep that he has heard, apparently, even though Muddock says that Enable's basically got no idea what he's on about and doesn't talk to the team. So it's all going on at Los Angeles Thieves Camp. It's all kicking off. But he said that he's heard that Kenny is considered internally to be either the best or the second best player on the team, even though I think a lot of fans might disagree with that one. And instead, it's actually Envoy's playstyle that's the problem. So therefore, people are saying, wow, could they do a Minnesota ROKKR, trade out Envoy, and then all of a sudden Kenny, who's been underperforming, now becomes a god like Priestner has. So look, chat, I mean, you're having a good time with this because there's just so many things that have been discussed here. You know, Octane's like, look, scrims are going great. We just can't translate, which does crack me up as well. So look, I don't know, like, what do you think, Austin? I know, what are your thoughts on this? Because I don't know what to do with this team. I'm like, I think Kenny is a really good player. Like, I genuinely think he's incredibly talented, but he's been tragic, to be honest. So, like, maybe it's just time to go. And maybe, like, man, all these substitutes do so well. And then they've just got Pentagram sitting there. You know, he wants to play. He's an SMG. Give him a go. I don't know.
Is he good at this game, though?
He might be terrible, actually.
I haven't seen him in the elite. I haven't seen him in the elite. I have no clue. He hasn't made that.
Seed or something.
Did they make it into this last elite? I didn't think so. I haven't
think they've made one. I honestly don't think they've made an elite. I could be wrong.
I don't know how good he is in this game, but honestly, like, when we scrim LA Thieves and when I watch them in the match, they on the map, and when you're watching just the mini map, they do know how to do a lot of good things. They do sometimes make the right moves, but they just seem to kind of get like out-fragged. I thought, like, I think Envoy's their best player. I don't know. I like his play style. Like, I think the real issue is you have Envoy, who, yes, is a flank heavy player, but then you have 3 ARs. So maybe that is the real issue, that we don't have a good combination between Envoy's play style and 3 ARs. If you said that, then that makes sense. But to say like Envoy's the issue, I don't think that's necessarily putting it the right way, the correct way. Honestly, when like with the servers thing, so this is how the server, like, the basic gist of it is, they go to whatever server has the lowest ping, right? The Texas one had the lowest ping for everybody, or for like the lowest possible ping. So let's say, like, you could have done Denver, but they would have had 50 ping, or they would have done LA, and that would have had 65 ping. It's harder to bring the ping up artificially than it is, like, so if it's lower, if it's at like 40, you can bring that up easier. Does artificial ping work? Yes, it works in Overwatch. It worked in League of Legends. Riot uses it. It works all the time in Overwatch. It works in Call of Duty. It evens it out. I know it sounds like it's too good to be true. That's just not the real thing. And maybe, like, the players don't really understand how it works, and maybe that's why they don't believe it. But that is the reason why they did the Texas server, to raise up the ping there, and it makes sense when you add everything up. Now, I don't think a server, anyways, is a reason to be 0-3'd and be out-fragged that hard. That shouldn't be an excuse. You can still make the right moves in the mini-map and set yourself up correctly and not get out-fragged. Like, I don't think a 15 ping difference makes a difference at all, honestly. Maybe in a couple gunfights, but it doesn't lose you a 3-0 based off of that. And I know they really don't think that they were just frustrated after a match. You know, you could see it with Octane's doing a 720 off a top train to check for aim assist, even though it's not how you really do it. It was just very interesting. They just seemed very frustrated in that match. But, you know, I do still have some hope for them. They're one of the few teams that kind of have a cushion right now to at least I believe they still have a cushion with the seeding.
I think actually,
no, they don't.
Right?
Yeah, no, they do not. So yeah, you kind of do have the pressure on. So they have like the Florida problem, but worse. Like, Florida has 3 ARs, but Vivid's really hyper aggressive, and their other ARs can pick up the pace when needed. But LA, Envoy's more of a flank heavy sub. He's very he's very route heavy, but he's not really your entry fly around kind of guy. And their other 3 ARs honestly are pretty static. They're pretty on the slower end. So, like, I don't know. They have to find a way to make that pacing better, like all team, like around the whole team. Because right now it's just not good.
Yeah. Well, you know what I'm going to say? Stats. So
let's go, baby. I want to hear it.
We love them.
everything else, all I need to do is point out the obvious. Kenny has a 0.77 for this stage, right?
Jeez, is that worse than Crimp?
Yes, it's worse than Crim. It's 0.11 worse than Crim. He's got a 0.69.
So,
a 0.69 in hardpoint, which is very nice. He's getting 43 seconds per hill. Well, not per hill.
Oh my god, this guy's unbelievable.
He's so good.
He's milking. He's a farmer.
Seconds per 10 minutes, which is bad. He's got a 0.5 or 0.6 in SND. Nice. He's getting the least first bloods on his team. Very good. And he's got a 0.89 in control, which is actually not the worst on his team, but it's almost equal with Envoy. So, and he's running an AR more than half the time still. So it's like, there's no excuses to have a 0.7 when you're considered one of the best players in the last 5 years. He's won 5 events. He's made it to 8 grand finals. Like, this guy is elite, and he's just not at that level. He kind of proved it at the Pro-Am. Like, he looked all right. People were gassing him more than he kind of deserved because his stats were actually kind of mid. But honestly, I don't know what you do. I think you have to, as Aches say, blow it up. If this major doesn't go well and you're still ass, blow it up, man. Your LA Thieves, like 100 Thieves is the probably second hottest commodity in the league. You could have the best team possible. And last year they had that fucking topsy-turvy throwing it around, seeing what works. That didn't work. This year they're doing nothing. They're changing roles once a year. It's even worse. So what do you do if you're them? You fucking blow it up, boys. Shit sucks.
I think it's too late. I think it's too late. Yeah, I think they've waited too long, and who are they going to pick up unless they throw the bag at Scrappy or Spot? You know, he's placed out. I don't think he's the
thing.
I don't think it fixes anything.
Neither do I. How do you fix it though? I think it's too late.
You need Kleenex, man. That's what I'm saying. I said it before the season
began. I mean, if they make a trade, but I don't think a trade in the CDL is not going to happen anytime soon.
You got 3 ARs and no aggro SMG. You have to make a decision.
The SMGs are averaging 36 kills per 10 minutes combined. The ARs, Octane and Draza, are averaging 48. So the SMGs are playing so much slower than their 2 main ARs, and it's just obviously that's not going to work if your ARs are the most aggressive players in your team. Like, it's the same in control. And then the only one stat line that is good is Envoy's SND. He's got a 1.65, but the rest is just hard viewing, boys.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree with CRONE. It's like, I actually don't. It's like they've done the opposite of last year, where they did too much last year. And then this year they haven't pulled the trigger enough because a Havoc, a Kismet, there's been a few options that have come and gone. And I think that was kind of our big concern going into the year is like, okay, where's the aggro SMG here? Is it going to be a repeat of OPTIC Chicago 2021 where they just don't have what it takes? Like, Scump and Envoy were a solid SMG duo. They were maybe like top 4 SMG duo, top 3, I don't know. But I thought Scump was great at that game. This year, Scump and Shotzi are just on an absolute another level. And that's not necessarily Envoy's fault, but it's like Envoy needs, Shotzi, and we said it a lot last year. Scump and Envoy, similar players, theoretically. At least in terms of their pacing, the way they operate is slightly different. But a Shotzi is the key player to unlock the potential of a team. You need a Shotzi, you need a Kleenex, you need a Beezy, right? Is the perfect example of the top teams. And LA Thieves have never had that, and there really is no option out there that you could, who are you going to get from challengers that can do that?
Well, the only person I can think of who's probably a little bit of a downgrade from those guys you just mentioned was Vivid. But he would probably need a pretty fast duo as well. And maybe Envoy would need to pick up the pace a little bit just to kind of match him somewhat.
Or you need your flex to pick up that pace. That's how you compensate for that.
Yeah. But that's not happening right now. So
we'll see. No. I mean, look, they've got 2 more matches, but they're currently one of the teams that to me is like at biggest risk of not even making winners. Like, if they don't make winners bracket, man, it's going to be disastrous. And they're honestly, like, they play Boston and OPTIC, and their map count is currently 3 and 6, right? So their map count is not great. So if they go 2 and 3, they're at risk of, even though in fairness, LAG could end up 2-3, and they have a terrible map count. Even though this week they play FaZe, so okay, LAG are chalk, so they're probably not going to be in the 2-3 race. So anyway, like that's them. I don't know what you do. I think before we'll talk about them in a bit more detail when we discuss the old who's going to get to winners and what their matchups are next week. But we've got to talk about OPTIC and FaZe because that was a monster series this week. I was really looking forward to that one, and I think it certainly delivered in terms of the spectacle. I must say I'm surprised at the result. I don't know if you were surprised at the result, Austin, because I thought going into this, like, I know that your search has been looking better. I know that your guys' hardpoint is looking better. So I thought, look, probably you'll, I don't know, split the first 4 maps. I expected the first 4 maps to be split and then it to go game 5 and then like FaZe to show some sort of ice, right? And you guys clutched up in the search. I was impressed by the search. The post plants were nice. The quality of the reads and the way that OPTIC kind of got outplayed in a lot of the post plants, I thought was very impressive. And it seems like Tupac have been working a lot on that, right? So the search and destroy is looking rather better because if anything, search has kind of been the key difference maker between OPTIC and FaZe so far this year in a lot of the crucial situations. But then the respawns were just absolutely absurd from OPTIC. They outslayed by 68 kills over this series. Simp had like a 0.7. Don't see that every day. RC's had a tough series as well. And the people are raising the question, like in this particular matchup of team v team, because I think that FaZe are the better team against everyone else. FaZe just beat everyone else. And OPTIC don't always beat everyone else. OPTIC can lose to a Florida. Florida seems to be a bogey team for OPTIC. They can lose to teams like that. FaZe like losing to Seattle. But outside of that, FaZe will beat everyone. But they can't beat OPTIC. They're 5-0 now against them. And it's just interesting because when you compare the two teams, I don't know if you guys agree, but it's almost like in this particular title at the present time in every single matchup they play, they just get outplayed man for man across the board. Shotzzy outplays Abizi, Scump outplays Simp, Dashi doesn't always destroy Cell, but Dashi and Cell's kind of one-on-one. And then you've got whoever their flex is, iLLeY versus RCTs as it is now, or in this case, ProLoot, who drops a 1.4 and dominates some of the respawns, which is incredible. Testament to maybe iLLeY and the OPTIC system that they've created there, that ProLoot's able to come in and play that well. But it also raises a question on the OPTIC side as to like, damn, this team that was a respawn gameplay that I don't think they even had that in their locker with iLLeY. I don't even know if they had that in their locker. Online, at least. I don't know. Interesting talking points. I'll throw it to you, Austin, first, because, of course, tough series. Not the end of the world, of course, but 5-0, man.
Yeah, like, I could do like the whole song and dance where it's like it's just a league match. It's not at a major. It's not at COD Champs. But quite honestly, I don't know. I'm just kind of tired of losing to OPTIC. I did feel really strong, like when I was talking 2 weeks ago about our hard point. I really believed it was in the best place it was been at all year. But our one issue that kind of pops up, and you can kind of see it. I don't want to break down the matches too much, but like the one issue we kind of like had was we were just like kind of this like head bashing hills. I saw it a couple times on the MW2. The control, it's sometimes we just get into the habit of like when we start feeling good about where we're at, we start playing too individualistic. Because honestly, it's kind of weird. It's like we can get away with that versus some of the other teams, but when you face a coordinated team, it doesn't go that way. So like I definitely think like we can match up with OPTIC, but at this point, like you can't fairly say that when you're 0-5 and lost to 2 different subs. I still believe we're like the best team in the world. I will never not say that, but at the same time, like at least we won an S&D. We had some clean rounds. That first round should have been cleaner, but like you're nitpicking at that point. But like there were some positives, but overwhelmingly that was a big negative. I did say like it's a tough match no matter what because the trio is just so good, and ProLoot kind of slots right in for iLLeY anyways. He was probably the best player of the match there, but like I don't know. It's just very frustrating. So it's something where I just think that OPTIC team is just grinding a lot. They're outworking everybody. They're out talent. It's not like they're out talenting our team. They're just putting in a lot of hours. They're working really hard. They're staying ahead. They're not getting complacent. Like I think they learned from some past issues. Like I know they said they beat us last year in stage 5 and got complacent with it. And I just don't think they're making that mistake this year, and they're keeping like the foot on the pedal because I think they understand like it's a league match. technically we're still in first. I don't even understand how. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a league match. I think they understand that, and they're like, we want to actually win when it matters the most. So, yeah, it's shitty. I'm pretty pissed about it, but at the same time, I'm trying to keep like level-headed with it because there's still a long time till champs. You still have 2 majors. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot more I could say, but like I don't want to just like start throwing out what we're working on. But like there's obviously you can watch it and you see the red flags right in front of you. You see it's pretty blatant. It's not like a mystery of why we're losing this match to them. So I mean on the positive side, that's a good thing. You can take a lot from a loss. So take a lot from 5 losses now. But yeah, it is kind of funny how we're like 17-1 in CDL matches against everyone else, and then like those are only losses. But yeah, so it is what it is. We have been practicing the last 2 days. It's so weird. It's so hard for me to judge because we do these practices. We always look good in practice. We look like we're doing some good things. We looked like we did a very good job against Boston. There was a couple of mistakes on the bow cage and like stuff you can clean up, but and then we kind of falter like that. So I don't know. It's not like it's not like it's a mental thing. It really isn't. You can just see like fundamentally, OPTIC is playing well. They show up. They're making good reads, and we're just making we're not taking the routes we would normally take. We're not taking like any routes. It's more like head. You fall behind the ball and you're trying to catch up constantly. So it is what it is. It is what it is, but at the same time, just know like it is annoying, and I know we're working really hard to fix it. It's not like we're just not doing anything about it. So I don't know. Hopefully we show up to Major 3. I do feel really confident going into that. Our S&D was the thing that I felt like not most worried about, but like we needed to catch up in S&D. We were playing a lot of S&D in practice, but like you still need to make reads and do it instantly, which just takes reps. It needs to be able to click in, and that's what I was worried about most going into majors. But like it seems like we're rounding the corner on that. We're getting better. We still have to keep pushing as hard as we are, but now we just have to make sure our hard point, make sure that's a one-off and like it's not like a common occurrence, because I truly thought like going into this stage, like our hard point was far and clear, and like the analytics like we're matching that even in like matches. So I did feel really confident. I still do. I think we'll rebound. Again, I hate saying this. It hurts me to the core, but like it is a league match. It hurts me to. I hate saying it, but like it is a league match. We can rebound. If we continue losing in tournaments like that, that's where it's gonna hurt the most.
So, okay, you said it's not mental, but if we break it down, you're 17-1, right, for majority of the matches, and then just say you're 17-0 if you take away the 6 most important matches of the year.
I'm gonna be real,
right?
I just think us and OPTIC are just so much like on top right now, and like maybe Minnesota might get there, but I definitely think like we can get away with making the individual style plays when because like we are, I don't know, I just feel like we're a little bit ahead of the curve, and so like we can get away with that. You see it when we played Seattle, like we didn't get away with that, and when you see it when you played LAG in the finals, we didn't get away with that. You see it when we play OPTIC. So, but then you see like glimpses of it when we're actually. There was one game, I think it was against London. We were just rotating, breaking everything. It looked fucking clean. And like that's when you don't need your gun skill to get out of stuff. That's when you can use your system to get out of stuff. We need to consistently do that in matches every time. And that's where and make the right reads and not get into the bad tendencies because your skill can get you out of stuff. It's a long story short, but it's manageable, it's fixable. It always is. You just can't get ahead of yourself.
It's just strange because from the outside, it kind of does look mental.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It really does.
You're 0-5 against a team. It makes you question, but.
Yeah. But no, I think obviously you guys have been the most talented team in the last 3 years. I think there's no question. It just seems like FaZe as a whole, you guys have had a lot of just roadblocks at strange times. Like it happened in Modern Warfare. Last year, it didn't happen very much. You guys were easily the best team last year, and then this year it's creeping in again. And I would assume that it's probably because of just the mixy nature of the game that you guys can't always be on top or use your talent as much to dominate. So I don't know. I think it's just less of a skill gap, and so you guys are running into more problems in big moments.
We still had those issues last year. I mean, you guys could probably remember our S&D one stage was just absolutely horrendous, and I think that's why POC ended up coming in. We had some, roller coasters, but yeah, I don't know. It's there's really no excuses. You just got to continue like grinding. We have to outwork every team. Like skill can get you so far, but you have to outwork. You have to be ahead of teams. You have to be innovative. And right now, I think you're in like kind of like the mid-season lull, but like you have to continue pushing, and that's what makes me excited because like you have like stage 4 champs, like that's where you really have to bust your ass and like work hard. I mean, you have to work hard every time, but sometimes it hits you hit walls sometimes, and I don't know. I am still very confident in the team. I still feel like we're the best team in the world. Obviously, that's going to come off looking kind of like whatever when we're 0-5 against the team, but like I'm still going to have like that delusional confidence that if we can actually apply our system that we do every single day into a game and not just rely on our gun skill, like that's when we're going to make it there. Because OPTIC, when you look at the players, they're just as talented. So you have to have a good system behind it, and that's kind of what we had last year. Like OPTIC was a terrific team last year. They had Envoy. But like at times they've relied on their gun skill too much, or they've relied on making individual plays to bail them out in situations. And that's happened in teams for as long as I can remember. And like that's something, it's a bad tendency, and that's something you just don't want to lean into. And like sometimes you can. And like sometimes you can get away with that. So that's what happens when you play like teams that are lower than you. You can get away with that. And then it compounds even worse because then you think it's working. And then you face a team like OPTIC that can, exploit that and like gets away with it, and it gets these terrific holds. Like we had on MW2, we had 4 0-point hills, and I can't tell you when the last time that's ever. I can't even tell you the last 4 0-point hills we've ever had, and we had 4 in one map versus them. So their holds were this terrific. They were taking advantage of getting that first wave of kills, which is the hardest, and then they were kind of like bottlenecking everything and just like making it just really easy on themselves. So that's just something we can't allow to happen, and have to really focus on not focusing so hard at just getting at the hill and like really, making them work for it still. So.
What do you reckon, CRONE? What's your opinion?
I was going to say that.
Yeah. I mean, Austin pretty much covered everything, but I was going to say I think it's a mental block too, but I think that's probably an easy answer. I mean, OPTIC beat them with General, with Prolu, and then they also beat FaZe when they had Pristini, so it's kind of been a little bit weird. It's not just straight on, head-to-head 5 times. But I think Austin made a good point that these two teams are just so much better than everyone else, and like a totally different range of everyone else. It's kind of like pretty much a coin flip that FaZe have just lost 5 times in a row. But I think, I don't know, it's Austin pretty much said everything that needs to be said, basically.
Well, CRONE, now, what do you think about what OPTIC should do next? Because the big talking point, well, one of the big talking points has been, we don't know when iLLeY's coming back. Scump says that, like, I don't know, the first doctor was faded. The idea that it was just a pimple is kind of like fake news, and he's getting this MRI scan done, this X-ray done. Maybe it's going to be what Krim initially said, that he reckoned it was some sort of bone spur, which might take a bit longer to heal. I think in the long term, hopefully it's going to be fine, but it's not clear at all that he's going to be back shortly. Almost certainly he's not going to play this weekend of matches. He might be back for the major. I'm sure he wants to play the major. It's in Toronto. He's got all his family, friends coming along, like 60 or 70 of them. And I'm sure he wants to play in front of them, but I don't know if he can or if he'll be able to. And even if he can play, is it actually a good idea? Because they've got incredible run with Pro League right now. They're currently 3-0. They play Toronto. They played New York, I think. So the tough, or maybe they play Thieves in New York. I think they play Thieves in New York. 2 tough games, but ones that are certainly winnable now they're beating FaZe. And if they do win those and they go into the major, like, surely even if iLLeY's ready, you want to keep Pro League there. Just because if iLLeY comes back, you're putting huge pressure on him individually. The team plays slightly different with Pro League, and I don't know. Like, what do you think they should do, Crane? Because everyone said inside Optic, understandably, they're like, iLLeY's not going to go anywhere. Like, when he's ready, he will return. And Prolete is just a temporary replacement, which I think is the correct way to do things. But at the same time, if you played all the qualifiers with Prolete and are killing it, at a major, do you want to change that? Especially because it's literally straight after the final week of qualifiers.
Yeah, I think you keep Prolute in for the major regardless of whether iLLeY is healthy or not. I think, regardless of whether they win it or not, then you bring back iLLeY. Because I think iLLeY brings a lot more to the table than a 1.3 KD in a match and all those types of things. And people fall in love with those types of stats. You know, they see Prolute drop a 1.3 or whatever it was in his last match, and they're like, oh yeah, keep him in. iLLeY would never do that, but iLLeY does a lot more than just kills, and he's the team leader, the IGL, and yeah, I think they should keep Prolute for the rest of the stages and the major, regardless of whether iLLeY is ready. Just because I've been scrimming with him nonstop for the past, I don't know, 3-4 weeks, however long it's been. And then they bring iLLeY back if he's ready after the major, or I guess they figure it out from there. Because you never know, iLLeY could be out for the rest of the season. Might need surgery. Like, who knows? Nobody knows what's wrong with his thumb. That I know. That I understand it. But that's what I would do.
I agree. I think for this stage, Austin made a good point like a couple weeks ago that their prerogative isn't winning this major. It's having iLLeY for champs and having as much time as possible to have him prepared. But I think it's with this current situation, and it's proving to be prolonged with his hand, I think keep in Prolute for this major. If they win, they win. If they don't, they don't. And then they've got this 3-week gap after the major for iLLeY to heal a little bit longer and then come straight back in and have enough time to practice and be ready for Major 4. So I think for now, it would be the smartest option to keep him out, regardless of what he wants. Pushing that injury as a professional player, I mean, it can't, if you come back too early, it won't help. It's going to push him back even further. So it'd be safe to just, rather be safe than sorry, get this major in. They could still probably win it with Prolute, honestly. They look like the best team still. And so keep him in and then bring iLLeY back during the long break because there's plenty of time.
Yeah, I honestly, like, I was pretty shocked he played the Pro-Am. And I was a little bit worried after he went out of the Pro-Am, and like he looked really like distraught in the video they made. Like he looked really down. I was hoping that the injury wasn't like got worse by playing, and that would certainly be a worry. If he's not playing in this week's matches, there's no reason for him to play at the major. Give him time to heal. They have Major 4. He can come in. We have a break after this major. You'll have 2 to 3 weeks to practice. If he can come in at that point, get back into the team, get back to Team Chem, play Major 4, and get ready for champs. There's no reason to rush him. This is still just a major. I mean, it's a $500,000 tournament. Everyone wants to win it. But at the end of the day, we have like, what was last year's champs prize pool? I can't even honestly remember. It was like 2.5 mil. Like that is the crown jewel, and that is the tournament everyone remembers.
1.5 mil, something like that.
Can you imagine if he comes back early, plays this major, hurts it even worse, and then is out for the year? Everyone will be saying, "Why did you just play that major 3?" If he's not 100%, honestly, if he hasn't been scrimming with the team, I think you stick with Prolute. He's shown that. And first off, he did. I see the chat. He did. I know he got signed as a full-time sub, and he'll be there for the foreseeable future, for the rest of the year, unless he gets sold. But I still think you stick it out with him for Major 3. You assess it after Major 3 because you want time to practice for Major 4. And then you go from a week-by-week basis then, because you probably want iLLeY to still play in Major 4 to get ready for champs, because that's where you want more team reps. But I'm just a little bit worried because we haven't really seen any news. You see on the podcast that he's saying his doctor's faded. I just hope it's still something small and that he's back. You never want to see any player with any injury. I hate it. That's one of the good things about esports is it's not as common as like regular sports, but you still see stuff, and you don't want any of it. I honestly hate it. I do hope he's back like fully healthy soon.
Yeah, we've had so many emergency substitutes this season, like a lot. Like mostly from people being sick. I know COVID is an issue, but we'll probably had like right? 5 or 6.
You had Hixie, Pristini, Scrappy, Prolute, General.
Paul X.
Harry on London.
Yeah.
The whole,
Harry, Paul X.
Yeah.
Paul X for London. I don't know if there was emergency, but
Yeah, you've had a lot.
The Gizmo situation, yeah. I guess the whole Gunners for Spark situation, we didn't even touch on that. It's been a good like 8 different players.
Yeah, it's actually insane.
That is mad. Agreed. A point that I thought was interesting that Epiphany made in the YouTube chat was, what do they do with their substitute situation after this year? I wonder what happens, because let's say in kind of like the most ideal world for OPTIC and iLLeY, that his thumb is healed and ready to go for Major 4, plays the Major 4 qualifiers, plays Major 4, and plays champs, all fine with iLLeY in the team. ProLuke goes back to the bench, and OPTIC definitely don't sell him to anyone, even if they want him, just because we need a sub just in case, right? Like, they definitely don't want to get rid of him at the start of the Major 4 qualifiers if someone wants him, because can't risk it unless they want to, the money probably at that point isn't the most important factor if teams really did want ProLuke to buy him out. But of course, then you go into next year, and it's like, we've said for quite some time with this OPTIC team that General hasn't been the most optimal substitute, let's say. And ProLuke clearly is. So what do they do? Do they keep General and ProLuke? I think we even mentioned this slightly before, just because OPTIC's kind of a weird organization in the sense that it's not solely a business, right? General's been part of the kind of team and family and culture for the last couple of years. So I don't know if Hex would just kind of bin him off, like a traditional organization might. But at the same time, it might be a waste of resources to have both ProLuke and General next season. Or the option is that someone buys out ProLuke or General in the off season and builds a team, which is possible. But if you're OPTIC and you're those OPTIC players, and you know how good of a substitute ProLuke was, like, even if he gets an offer, do you say, and does ProLuke think, look, this is OPTIC, I can be a sub for OPTIC? Like, there's always these interesting questions that come up. Or does ProLuke prefer to actually play in the league, which he probably would do, but if it's not an OPTIC, then, it's always a difficult one to say what ProLuke will do, what the organizations will do, what the team itself will do. I don't know what you think about that, Crone.
I think he starts on the team next year, to be honest with you. Probably not OPTIC. I think Hicks and I think he would just let him walk. Like, I mean, they let RCs walk. I know Hicks isn't fully in charge, but I don't see them making him stay throughout the off season and next season just to sit on the bench. I think they'll let him go. I think he should have started on the team start of this year, to be honest with you. Like, he won the Challenger Champs. Who did he win that with? He won it with Spy. He got a contract. Saints. Or something. So he didn't get a contract and ended up retiring. Yeah, and only one of those guys are the Challenger Champs, and I think all 4 of them should have been considered. I don't know how much teams were considering them, but it blows my mind that those 4, only one of them made a team. It was, I don't know.
CDL, baby, 12 teams.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry,
any final thoughts?
No. I was just doing some design. I was getting ready.
Let's go. We're cracked.
Can you just give me a breakdown of what we were just talking about? I was completely zoned out.
Yeah, I can. We were briefly discussing what happens with OPTIC substitute spot next year. Does ProLuke get a starting team? Does General stay? Like, what do they do? Does ProLuke want to stay anyway because it's OPTIC?
I think, okay, with General, I think he'll probably stay, but it really depends on the game. Am I getting roasted in the chat? I don't know.
Yeah, you're getting roasted a bit, but it's fine.
Sorry, boys. I think, General will stay, but it depends on the game. And then we've already seen that him within that roster is not a very, good dynamic. He would need to replace a Dashy and be a more slower AR rather than someone like iLLeY. So if it's Dashy that's out, he's a really good fit. ProLuke is a really good fit for iLLeY. So maybe they just pick up a really fast SMG and then they pick up another Scump type SMG and they've got a second roster, call it OPTIC Nation, put them in challenges, and then have them as subs at the same time.
Now we're talking here. See, another $1 million idea. Bring back Killer, bring back Jerd, bring back Stoney.
They did say they would consider it, but they won't do it until the Challenger circuit is more figured out. And that's something, I understand.
Which is what your amazing schedule for next year would do, and it would give them purpose. Have Austin Easy Mac O'Neill's schedule, OPTIC Nation. Oh, fuck yeah.
CDL, take notes. Okay, cool. What we're going to do now to close out the episode is we're going to predict which 8 teams. This is not teams that are going to make champs. This is which teams are going to make winners bracket at the major, because it's very hotly contested and it depends a fair bit on their run into the final week. So let me just bring up the Twitch stream so I can see what everybody else sees as we talk through this. Here we go. What a beautiful transition that was, Omar. Just tuned in the time. Oh no, Paris Legion are already in the Bozo bracket. This is tragic. But I think it's correct. So if you guys are on the stream, down, we can see CRONE in widescreen. This is absolutely beautiful. So here we go. Out of the 12 teams, 4 will make winners. Oh, okay, that's wrong. 4 will make losers. 8 will make winners. So there we go. That's correct the way around. Now, Paris are 100% chalked, I think. They are 100% chalked. You have to win. I don't know. Is it possible to ever make winners on a 1-4 map count? It probably is, and it's a crazy tiebreaker. But
I don't think so.
Realistically, if you only win 1 series, you're not making winners. So Paris is 0-4. They can win max 1 series. Next week they play up against Ultra. So Paris are chalked. They're guaranteed down there. If we look at the teams that are guaranteed winners, ROKKR are guaranteed, I think, now at 4-0. They should be through regardless. And I think OPTIC at 3-0, even if they get double 3-0'd, their map count will be 9-7, to the point where I don't think they can possibly not make it. So OPTIC are definitely in winners. Now, outside of that, it gets quite spicy because we've got a lot of teams in the ballpark. If you guys can't see this, let me just make sure it's in the, if you haven't seen this, CRONE, I'll just chuck it in here so you can see the current standings. And we'll pick the teams that aren't going to make it. So I think probably the way to do it is just look at the teams that are in suspect position, right? Like LAG are 1-3 with a 4-11 map count. So even if they 3-0,
they play us.
And they play FaZe, even if they 3-0 FaZe, they're 7-11 with a 2-3 record, which is pretty much the same spot that Minnesota have been in the last 2 majors, where they go 2-3 and they have like a bad map count because they get 3-0'd, and then if they win game 5. And then that's never enough to make winners. So I think as a result of that, LAG are practically chalked. Like, I don't really see a world in which they make it through.
Yeah, that's true.
It's pretty safe to put them in
I think it's pretty safe to put them in.
Now.
I think it's pretty safe to like even say exactly who's not going to make it right now based on who's the bottom 4 right now. So
I mean, there's 6 teams tied right now.
Yeah, I see that. But the bottom 4 right now look like the worst 4 teams in the league. Don't you agree? On this table that we're looking at.
It depends on what Florida we get this weekend.
Yeah.
It also depends on the matches a bit. But I think you're kind of right, CRONE.
Florida plays Seattle.
London and Thieves are the other 2, if you guys can't see on stream.
Yep.
So Florida actually has 2 tough matches. They play Seattle, who's always, they're never going to be an easy match, and they're pretty hot right now. And you have Boston. And so that one's actually tough for Boston, because Boston's 1-2 as well. So Boston plays LA Thieves in Florida. So all these teams in the bottom actually play each other, which makes it even more difficult to tell who's going to not make it. If they all played like, Minnesota, OPTIC, Seattle, and FaZe, then we would actually be able to dice it out. But do you think Florida is going to beat both Boston and Seattle?
Yes.
No.
Maybe.
Well, exactly. We don't know. I think so. What we'll do first is we'll lock in the teams that we think are going to get winners. So Seattle are 2-1. They play Mutineers in London, so they should have enough to get through. I think they'll win at least one of those. FaZe are 2-1. They play LA Gorillas and ROKKR, so you guys will get through. And I think that Toronto play Paris, so they're for sure getting through. And Subliners are 2-2. They play OPTIC, but even if they're 2-3, the worst map count they can get is 9-10. Which I still think in a 2-3 tiebreaker, 9-10 might be enough. New York are a little bit suspect.
The only team that could pass them is London. London has 2 matches remaining, which means they could go 6 or 10-8. But the other team,
good point.
I mean, I guess LA Thieves could too.
Maybe there's a way in which it
they
happens.
Would have 9-6. So yeah, I guess
okay,
they
so
could too.
Surge, FaZe, and Ultra, I think for sure are making it, and then we have to choose 2 out of the next 5 that aren't going to make it. So yeah, put those 3 up there. They're going to make winners in some order, and then 2 of these 5 aren't going to make it. And so let's have a look through. Like, who should we start with? Should we start with Boston? Because I think we looked to them, but they play Thieves and they play Mutineers. Like, how's that going to go? Because they're not looking great, but I feel like they're going to go 1-1 and they're going to be in this dodgy tiebreaker.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Austin?
I see. I think I'm in a weird spot because I think LA Thieves will actually they might beat them, and then I think Boston will beat Florida, which would put them at 2 and 3. And honestly, I think it would be a 3-1 versus Florida and a 2-3 versus. So that would be 5 and 4, which would put them at 9 and 11. So I think Boston would make it. I think you could probably pencil Boston in on my end. I don't know what you guys think.
What do you reckon, CRONE?
Yeah, I don't know. It's all these teams versing each other is just like a 50-50 league. But I think Boston. I think I would put them up.
Yeah, I think we'd choke Boston in there. What do you reckon, Lion?
It's pretty much between Boston and Florida, obviously, because they're tied evenly perfectly. But I think Boston seem like they're on a bit of a downtrend. Like they've looked that way since the end of stage 2. Zinni
I think they
hasn't.
peaked stage 2.
Sorry?
I think they peaked major 2. That was the peak.
They looked really good in stage 2, but they didn't look like that ultimate team. Whereas Florida have been this bogey, make it into winners, like kind of like trip up team. And I think that's like where they flourish. And so I think in this situation, in the clutch, they're going to get it done. I have a lot of faith in them because I don't really like them as a team. I don't really enjoy watching them. It's interesting to watch them because you never know what you're going to get. So I think because no one's really kind of scared of them, they're going to come out here and easily make winners. So I have in my losers, do you guys have London getting out?
I think London are chalked. I think I agree with you, Lion, in that like I think London are chalked because they play Ultra and they play Seattle. Those are both 2 teams that are on the up. Both of those teams are looking good. London is still in a bit of a shambles. Their map count is 4 and 8, which is also bad. So a 2 and 3 tiebreaker doesn't work for them. And also they're probably thinking, like, well, who cares? We'll write this major off. We've got enough points for champs. So I don't know. I think London are chalked. I'm concerned about them, to be fair.
Yeah, same. So I would just put the 4 teams that are at the bottom right now out. And then I think Boston just make it in 8th, but I think Florida make it quite easily. I think they'll end up going 3 and 2, winning both their matches this week. So yeah, do we just call it as that, or do you guys have differing opinion on that?
I reckon it comes down to the Breach versus Thieves series. I think the loser of that goes down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's tough, boys. We're just speculating now. It's all slow.
It's pretty tough. Those middle of the pack teams is just whatever. It's like, who knows?
Yeah. Let's go for it then. Let's chuck Thieves down there and let's put New York up and we'll just keep it as it is. Because I think Thieves' map count is so bad.
Here's a question for you. Do you think New York will get 3-0'd by OPTIC?
Nope.
No, I don't think so.
No.
And then New York makes it.
Yeah.
Because if they just win, they just have to win 1 map. That's it. One map and they're in. So if you don't think they're going to get 3-0'd by OPTIC, then they're in. And that makes it. And then I think that's an okay list. I will say I can definitely see a world where Thieves makes it in, but I also see a world where they go 1 and 4. They're the most difficult team. Them and Florida are just so hard to judge on how they're going to show up in the match.
Yeah, agreed. It's always weird for Thieves though, because like I can genuinely see them losing to Breach and then playing OPTIC on Sunday and be like, screw it, who cares? Like, and just somehow getting a result against OPTIC. I still think they lose though. So yeah, I don't know. Like one of these teams is going to go 1 and 4 and it's going to look shocking. And I think the Mutineers are literally coin flip team. Like they'll win one of those 2 series. And then, so yeah, I think the big series is Thieves Breach on Saturday. Absolutely must 100% look at that one. Crucial series to determine the way things are going to go. But I think we can leave it there for today, boys. I think we've done a great job. Thanks, CRONE, for joining us.
It was a pleasure, absolute pleasure.
Appreciated your company. It's been a great time. I mean, yeah, how are things going? Like, what's your plan? Kind of next steps? Obviously, the dot thing didn't work out. I'm sure some people would be interested to know maybe a little bit more on what like you can say, like whether what's going on.
They didn't really tell me much, man. They pretty much just said they were downsizing. Dot is owned by a place called Gamers Group. They acquire a lot of different websites, not just esports. So I think they acquired, I wouldn't say too many, but they acquired a lot. Then they decided, looked at their books, okay, we've got to get rid of some people. I wasn't the only one they got rid of. They got rid of a few other people. I think I was probably, without sounding cocky, probably the biggest one, I guess. They got rid of some video edit guys and some other people from other websites. But yeah, they didn't really give me a warning. They didn't tell me, hey, you need to do more. They didn't, they never asked me what I was doing. So I don't think there was anything I could do. I think they just looked at my contract and said, and looked at the work that I've done and said, it's not worth it. But they gave me a little bit of a payout, so I am fine. Obviously, I have a family. I have to pay bills. My partner doesn't work. But we're good for the next couple of months. And I've had a few people contact me. I haven't had any like serious offers yet, but I think I'll be fine. I think I'll definitely stick around in esports for a little bit longer. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe one day I can come home to Breaking Point. Who knows?
Try and make it happen. That's good to hear. We don't want CRONE to disappear because CRONE, man, like honestly, the community loves you, appreciates you. We certainly do.
You.
And yeah, it's just veterans of esports, baby. I mean, my birthday was yesterday. I'm 23. I'm getting on. Like, but there's some serious OG. I know you're not even coming to like COD esports that long ago, but
yeah,
I don't know, man. Since the COD Burner 2018 Mania days, it's been a wild ride,
Yeah, I pretty much said to myself, like I can't. Before I joined Dot full time, I was juggling a full-time job and doing the Twitter and writing articles. I pretty much said to myself, like, I can't do that again. It's either full-time esports or it's full-time real-life job. I can't juggle it again. It's just way too much, especially with 2 kids. I just had a newborn 4 months ago, and obviously I have a partner, and I want to spare time for myself, and it's a lot to juggle. So I can't do it all at once. Or I did it for 3 years. I can't do it any longer. So it's one or the other. It's esports or it's go back to the real world.
Good man. No, we stay in esports for sure. I'm sure you'll make it happen.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
Good stuff. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on. Final thoughts from the rest of the boys before we close out, because we've got a massive week, as we just described. No one knows what's going to happen. Some of these teams are going to be in losers, and they're chalked up. It's definitely roster change season after Major 3. It's got to be. And someone's got to win it, right? And Minnesota and OPTIC looking really good. So, yeah, Lion, final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm excited for the matches, obviously. Very exciting when it comes to the last week. We get to see these tiebreakers. They're often very confusing, so I think on Breaking Point, we'll try our best to break those down for you. Austin is usually very good at that stuff. So, yep. And then also make sure today you put your votes in for the best map bracket that we're doing, the best competitive map bracket. We'll be posting those on all our socials. And make sure the map that you want to win wins, because we've got Raid 2 versus Fringe, and I really want to see Fringe make it to the next round. So vote on Fringe.
I'm voting Fringe. I got you.
Good lad.
Austin, well, it's all about the bounce back.
Yeah, well, hopefully everyone enjoys all of the what are we non-bounty week anymore. We're back into the regular matches. So I hope everyone enjoys these. I'm actually super excited for the Toronto major. Obviously it's going to be 8 days from now, 7 days from now. So I'm actually really excited for that. I cannot wait. I just can't wait to do more lands, man. I feel like it's been like we had the lands with fans. Like we obviously had the pro-am. It's a nice change of pace, but like I actually miss like hearing the crowds. It's one of my favorite parts of our sport, and I just can't wait. I have high expectations for this Toronto event, so I'm just really excited to knock a week off of this. So on to next week.
Agreed, man. The lands are too much fun. I mean, I want to get to 1. I think my plan will be to try and get to 1 every year. And this year there's not many left, so I might try and get a chance, depending on what it is. Even if I have to pay for it, it's like the tickets will be expensive, the flights will be expensive, everything will be expensive, but it's like, once a year, I feel like I've got to find the money to do this stuff because it'll be worth it, really.
It is. CRONE hasn't gone to one, which is actually insane.
That's wild.
They don't do events down there anymore. Though. It's sad. Like they used to.
Yeah,
back in the day, you could have gone to the Crown Melbourne.
Were shit. They were terrible.
Yeah,
I mean, CWL Sydney. Did you guys ever like hear about CWL Sydney? We had 2 in 2017. It was only
it existed.
It existed, but the events were fire. Not gonna lie.
They were the regionals, right? That's when we had regionals.
Yeah, we did like Birmingham and Sheffield. We had in the UK, and it was like Epsilon that won and stuff.
And they were fun, bro. Like those were sick.
That's what we need. We need domestic leagues back. Like, do you know how like right now, like Riot, you have in Valorant, you have the Spanish like league, you have the Italian league, you have the German league. Even in like League of Legends, you have that. We need shit like that back so bad. Get some regions growing again.
Yeah, BO3 League was unmatched. Even though it was online. Oh. And then them coming together at Champs. Oh, I went to that Champs that year. It was actually, got me hard, boys. But
there we go. That's a good note to end on. Thanks all for watching. Thanks for joining us. Thanks to all those who watched live. We had loads of YouTube viewers, by the way. If you guys are still checking around on YouTube, appreciate you, because I'm pretty sure we broke by a margin the YouTube record. And I think probably as a result, we broke the concurrent viewer record across both platforms as well. So, which is, we're breaking it week after week right now. And it's not even a major week. So just absolutely love to see that. Yeah, thanks all for watching, all your support on all the platforms. Thanks, CRONE, as well for joining us. And yeah, we will see you next time.
Peace.